guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So, patch 2.3 is on the way, including a new champion fusion. Now, last year, 2019, for those of you who have been playing for a year or more in Raid Shadow Legends, we had 4 really amazing champions, like S-tier, top-of-the-line champions added to the game, especially the epics. We had Miscreated Monster, Madame Ceres, and then we had Harvest Jack and Brachus the Shifter. So 4 really good champions added, and it looks to be the same thing in this update. We also have the information, the full kit information of Lydia the Deathsiren, the new Faction Wars champion, which we'll get into as well. So let's start here with the fusion. I have the post here by Valkyrie. I want to go over all these champions and talk about who's my favorite, who I think should be top of your wish list, and I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments below which one of these champions. First of all, will you be fusing Elegaius, who is the new fusion champion? It's going to be a fragment summon, so I would advise all of you guys, without even going through his kit, to go ahead and try to accomplish that. Whenever you have an opportunity of getting a legendary champion in Raid Shadow Legends, you should take it, especially if it's a fragment, because then you can kind of pace yourself and just kind of, look at the events, figure out mathematically, okay, how can I do this in a way that's efficient to what I normally would have been doing in the game anyway, in terms of your energy expenditures. So anyway, guys, new champion summon. We have 4 new spooky champions coming to the game. On top of that, there's a new powerful champion available as exclusive reward, Faction Wars, which I talked about that. Some quality of life improvements as we prepare for the Doom Tower launch. Man, it's really weird, but I am like too excited about Doom Tower, guys. Are any of you guys with me, or am I just a fool? I'm open to either of your answers to that. But man, I'm just so excited for Doom. It just sounds so cool. 120 or whatever floors, 110 floors with 11 new bosses? Dude, I'm sorry for being a Plarium hype man right now, but I'm so excited for that. Can't wait for it. Anyway, Elegaius sounds like a some Greek ruler's name, not this undead monster here. But he is an undead horde. Support champion magic. And let's go over his kit here. Talk about, where you could use this dude. Attacks one enemy, has a chance of placing the block cooldown skills for 1 turn. I'm just going to say a chance because we don't know what the booking is going to be on these champions. The chance increases by 0.75 for every 1% this champion loses HP. That's really cool. He has 2 abilities kind of like this, as you can see from his A3 a little bit lower. So that can be booked up to, heck, if an extra 20-30% chance, depending on his HP, on his A1. And block cooldown skills is a great debuff to have on an A1. So already liking this champion out the gate here. Dead stop on the A2, attacks 1 enemy, puts that target skills on cooldown. If the enemy has any duplicates or the team has any duplicates of that champion, it will also put their skills on cooldown. So combating teams with, more than one of the same champion, which is actually good for like Faction Wars, also good for the arena, as kind of a sub-in. Okay, we'll put, Elegaius in there and we'll negate 2 of these champions if they have dupes, say they have 2 Rotos or whatever, right? Ghost Rage, his A3, attacks all enemies, a 5 turn, and I'm going to assume these are going to be able to book it down to at least 1 more turn lower. Attacks all enemies, has a chance of removing 2 random buffs, also has a chance of decreasing enemies' turn meters by 20%, and again, like we talked about, decreases enemy turn meters a further 0.2% for every 1% of HP this champion loses. So that's max almost 20%. If he has 50% HP, it's 10% in addition. So potentially around 30% on average, I guess. Maybe a little bit less than that of a turn meter decrease. Not bad, but not amazing either, compared to like Bat Swarm on Nethril, other, legendary champion turn meter depletions on AoEs. But, nonetheless, Razans, nonetheless, it doesn't seem bad. And removing 2 random buffs is good too, right? Obviously. And it looks like that would probably be able to be booked up to 100% chance. His passive here, guys, prevents this champion's death and keeps him alive on a 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit. If this skill prevents this champion's death, it heals them by 10% of their max HP, fills their turn meter by 20%, places a shield buff on them equal to 30% of their max HP for 2 turns, and will not prevent this champion's death if they are under block heal debuff. Okay, that little part, the last part there, is not super relevant to me. It's a really good passive. I'm wondering if it can be booked down even further from every 6 turns. But, you know, I think this dude is solid. Is he the best champion in the game? No. Is he a top 10 legendary champion? In my opinion, no, he's not. Is he worth ranking up? I would say for the majority of you guys, he's worth not only summoning, but also building out, especially if you need help for Undead Horde, Faction Wars, Dungeon support, or, you know, kind of a niche role for the arena, taking one enemy out of the equation with the A2, or duplicate enemies, and that AoE with the turn meter decrease is nice too. I'm going to rank this champion, I don't know, grade him like an A-, B+, around that area, so I think he's definitely worth fragment summoning. Do you just say fusing? I guess you just say fusing, right? Little Miss Annie, what a name, dude. I love it. I love it. And she looks so cool. Very Halloween-esque. Really love. I can't wait to see what she looks like, her whole body. That sounds kind of weird, but you get what I'm saying. Pretty Nails, her A1. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Already, hate to state the obvious, but already Fire Knight viable, maybe. Chance of placing a heal reduction, more Fire Knight viability. Hollow Doll, her A2, attacks one enemy 2 times. Places an increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns before attacking, if they're under a shield buff. Okay, I hate the ifs. I hate the qualifiers. Will ignore 25% of the target's defense if the target is under a shield. Plays a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if the attack kills an enemy, and fills this champion's turn meter by 30% if this attack does not kill the target. Hollow Doll is a pretty cool ability. It's not insanely broken or amazing, but the perfect veil, if it kills an enemy, makes her a really annoying arena champion. Also, plenty of utility with a turn meter fill as well if you do not kill the target. I like Hollow Doll as well. On Playdate, man, they really just hit it out of the park here with these names. Pretty Nails, Hollow Doll, Playdate. Toys Don't Die is the first passive as well. Attacks one enemy, ignore 25% of the target's defense. Excuse me, I already did that one. No, I didn't. My bad. Ignore 25% of the target's defense if the target has higher defense than this champion. I can't highlight either because it's an image. Decrease the target's max HP by 25% of the damage inflicted if the target has a higher max HP than this champion. We'll repeat this attack a second time if the target has both higher defense and higher max HP than this champion. Pretty cool. I'm just going to assume there's really solid multipliers on this ability as well. On this champion to begin with. And then 2 passives. When revived, attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill. Also, fills this champion's turn meter by 25%, places a shield buff on this champion equal to 50% their max HP for 2 turns. Sweet passive. Okay. So when revived, attacks the enemy. So you have to have a reviver on the same team, and then you can veil this champion. Like, there's a lot of synergy because you can go into this, into the A2, put a perfect veil. If you kill an enemy on the counterattack, she can be an annoying champion. We're already kind of seeing that in her kit here. It's a complicated kit, so bear with me, but you can see the potential here, right? Each has a 50% chance of decreasing. This is the magic heart. Each hit from this champion has a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 5% and a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 5% of the damage inflicted when attacking enemies under heal reduction debuffs. Also heals this champion by 5% of the damage inflicted when attacking enemies under heal reduction debuffs. Okay. And then attacks, increases ally attack in all battles by 33%. Pretty cool champion. I give her a A. I give her an A. Narma the Returned. Legendary, magic, support, Knight Revenant. Dude, this is a sick clan boss champion right here, guys. Support champion 2. Attacks one enemy. Has a 40% chance of increasing the duration of 3 random debuffs on the target. So a mini Vizier here, right? On the A2. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff. I'm assuming that's going to be booked up to 100% chance. Also heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP. That heal increases by 2% for each poison debuff on the target. Wow. So that's an extra 10, 20%. So we're talking 35% heals against a fully debuffed clan boss? Or I shouldn't say, that's a little bit excessive, my bad. I was thinking for every debuff, not every poison, but we're talking a bigger heal than 15% on clan boss for sure, right? Usually you're rocking, especially with the debuff extender, On the A1, we're talking there's going to be a full debuffs, and likely those are going to be, a lot of those are going to be poison, maybe 6, 7, even 8 of those debuffs, right? Toxin Trance to A3 attacks one enemy, 75% chance of placing, or 100% chance, we're hoping, of placing 3 5% poison debuffs and a poison sensitivity debuff for 3 turns. Hoping that can be booked down to 4 turns. That'd be insane. Even 5 turns would be a great ability to have poison sensitivity and 3 poisons for 3 turns, which is huge. And then increases ally accuracy by 80. I'm going to give Narma the Returned, again, these are subject to change, these rankings, because we don't know their stats, we don't know their books, we don't know their, booking cooldowns on these champions, but provided she has good defense, I'll give her an A+ for Clan Boss. She's a great Clan Boss champion. With the extender as well on the A1, come on, man. I get in poison sensitivity with 3 poisons and healing, A+ Clan Boss champion. She's gonna be a keeper. Masked Fearmonger is the epic, and let me tell you, this is a pretty cool epic too, right? I think they're definitely fitting the Halloween motif, and they're following what happened last year where really solid champions were released. Now, Brackus and Harvest Jack, again, they're probably not top 10 legendaries, but they're definitely legendaries who are top 10s in specific roles, meaning not overall maybe, but niche roles. Have you guys seen Brackus the Shifter in a Swift Parry set? Dude, he's a monster. We're seeing him more in Platinum Arena now. Every day, more people are putting him in with a double revive from Beast Mode passive. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and obviously miscreated in Ceres. What do I need to say? They're amazing. 2 of the best epics in the entire game. Masked Fearmonger, a Bannerlord Spirit attack champion. On the A1, attack one enemy 2 times. Each has the decreases the target's turn meter by 7.5% if the target is under Fear or True Fear debuffs. This dude's name is Fearmonger. Keep that in mind when we read his kit, right? Reduce the cooldown of the champion's A Taste of Despair passive skill by 1 turn if the attack kills an enemy. Let's go ahead and go right down to the passive, because we're talking about reducing the cooldown. Reduces the cooldown, completely reduces the cooldown of a 6-turn passive. Who knows, again, with books. Fills his champion's turn bar by 50% whenever an enemy's HP drops below 20%. Wow. Okay, solid passive, right? And then with the synergy between Nightmare, really cool. Haunted Machete on the A2. Attacks one enemy, a 75% chance of placing a Fear debuff for 1 turn, and a 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Has a 75% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on 2 enemies for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. 1 True Fear debuff will be placed on the enemy with the lowest turn meter, 1 on the highest turn meter. Interesting, cool. Well-used Axe attacks 1 enemy. Ignore 35% of the target's defense if the target is under a Fear or True Fear debuff. Places an increased speed buff for 2 turns. Revive on death buff for 2 turns. Block debuffs buff for 1 turn on this champion if he kills an enemy. So man, because there's 2 or actually 3 abilities, all of his abilities are predicated on getting stronger if it kills an enemy. I'm assuming he can deal a lot of damage, and he's not an AoE attacker, so I'm thinking direct damage, single target champion. He's going to be a monster, but that's just speculation. We don't know that for sure, and a lot's going to depend on how hard this dude hits. Is he a faceless, or is he a wet noodle? We'll see. But if he's a faceless type champion, with the ignore defense, it does seem like he's going to be. Man, he could be a real monster, especially in the arena, but really everywhere with all this Fear and True Fear. I do think he'd be a cool champion to pair with somebody who has another champion who has Fear or True Fear. That way you have a double chance of having those debuffs on the target, right? And Lydia the Deathsiren. So I've been putting a lot of work into my faction wars. I've been neglecting them for a long time. Not neglecting, but just kind of coasting, just getting my glyphs every day and not really building up new champions specifically for that faction. And I've been doing that the last couple weeks. I am happy to say I'm almost there. I finished Orc 21 today. I have, I think, 3 left. 2 I'll have no issues with. Just a matter of building up more champions. But I will say that I was talking about to Manable from Manable Gaming about this the other day. Man, Dwarf 21 is going to be so difficult for me to 3-star. I don't know how I'm going to do it, man. I have all the good legendary Dwarf champions except for Torment. I don't have Torment, didn't do the fusion because I'm an idiot. But I really have everybody which is embarrassing to say. And he suggested, he said he said it's number one, the most difficult faction war to 3-star at the end, not to beat, but to 3-star. He said the way he did it was he put all of his best gear on from every one of his champions onto his dwarf team, and it was RNG based. He just ran it a bunch. I know you can do it though with not even having every legendary. So I'm being a big baby. I just need to really take a look at that team and optimize it. But that's kind of where I'm at. I think like I said, there's 2 other teams that I need to work on. I don't know if I'll get Lydia next week when she comes out, but I do hope to have her, by end of November the latest. So I'll definitely do a guide on her as well. She'll only be available if you complete in 3-star every single faction war level. So we actually had a whole video talking about whether that's a good or a bad thing for the game. I tend to think it's a bad thing, even though it's pretty cool to get a reward like this for that. But I also think it does put more of a divide between the paying people of this game, the whales of this game, like yours truly, and your average player. And I think that we should really try to limit those mechanisms, those vehicles that cause that divide. So I'm kind of conflicted, yet I'm still going for it because I'm also not an idiot, right? So anyway, we found out more information about her. They did a nerf on this champion. I want to start with her aura, Increase ally resist in the arena battles by 100. So the highest ally resist increase, I believe it was originally going to be 110 and they nerfed it pre-release. But I guess long story short on this champion, she's going to be in arena defense. She's definitely going to be used in arena defense. I'm not sure about arena offense. We will see. But obviously, along with other areas, dungeons and whatnot in the game. But of course, the first thing I look for here is she going to be an absolute game changer for arena offense? And I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. Let me know what you think about that. On the A1, attacks 1 enemy. Active effect. Attacks 1 enemy, has a chance of placing fear debuff for 1 turn, has a chance of placing a poison sensitivity buff for 1 turn on the A1, fear and poison sensitivity. That's amazing, but it gets better. Attacks enemy champions with this skill whenever they place a freeze, stun, fear, true fear buff on any ally. The number of attacks, no, let me reread that. Attacks enemy champions with this skill whenever they place a freeze, stun, fear, or true fear debuff on any ally. Okay, I guess it's worded to make it seem like on any of the enemy's allies, because we're talking about the enemy champions, but I think that just means on any of her allies. My bad on that. I'm kind of, whatever. The number of attacks increases according to how many debuffs are placed at that time. 1 attack for each freeze, stun, fear, or true fear debuff placed. Okay, the first attack will target the attacker, while all extra hits will attack random enemies. Can only attack each enemy once. That's an insane A1, I'll tell you that. Siren's Wail, the A2, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance. This is the best ability she has. I'm going to assume it can be booked down to a 3-turn. It's kind of like Dracomorph's big ability, but it's better, right? So attacks all enemies, has a chance of placing the strong version of decreased defense and weaken for 2 turns. She's void, so there's no bad affinity matchup. Also places a strengthen and an increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. It's like Siffi the Lost Bride, kind of, meaning that it has like powerful abilities and then some, right? And then the increased speed and the strengthen. Nullification, her A3. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. The first hit has a 75% chance of placing a poison sensitivity, which she also has on her A1, for 2 turns. The second hit has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs, block cooldown skills, debuff for 2 turns. And then her passive, the most controversial part of her kit here, denies enemy revive attempts. Denies enemy revive attempts. So they can't revive anybody on the other team. This works even if this champion is dead. Now the big question here that everybody's asking is it a 2-paragraph passive? Meaning, is that on a 9-turn cooldown that you're denying enemy revive attempts? So if there's 1 revival, it's done for 9 turns? Or is it just her passive without a cooldown denies enemy revive attempts? Period. New paragraph, That's the question. My inkling is that it is on a 9-turn cooldown. If this champion is alive when an enemy revive is denied, revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. Grants an extra turn instead if there are no dead allies. If this champion is dead when an enemy is revived, revives this champion with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. This skill will ignore block revive. Wow. So there's no doubt about it. Death Hold passive is probably one of the strongest 2-3 abilities inside the entire game, if not the strongest ability any champion has in the game. It ignores block revive, first of all. That's insane. We just read it. I'm not going to read it again. It's insane. The saving grace here is it is on a 9-turn cooldown. So you can do this once per arena battle, or you can do it, once or whatever in a dungeon. Maybe in Doom Tower, this will be. I keep going to say the Void Tower or whatever. Maybe in Doom Tower, this will end up being more useful as well. But certainly a beast of a champion. There's no doubt about that. Don't know her stats yet, but guys, I'll throw it to you. What do you think? Is she good? Is she bad for the game? Is she unbelievably broken? What do you think? The learning curve, they're adding a FAQ, whatever. Bazaar additions. 3 new player avatars will be added to the Bazaar in the gold tier. Yay! I don't know. I'm a party pooper. I don't get excited about avatars. I don't know why. I just don't. Miscellaneous. Classic Arena rewards will now be available in the Arena tier tab and can be claimed by tapping the chest icon there. We'll add an indicator to show players where they'll be. Fix a bug causing players to get incorrect notification green progress bar when they're not eligible to advance in the next tag team arena. And that's it, guys. That's all I have for you today. Let me know which one of these champions is your favorite out of the new Halloween champions, Lydia aside. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate you. And as always, take care, guys.